The third episode of Black Mirror Season 7 is one of the most beautifully shot episodes in this season. From the get-go, it becomes very evident that the story is very similar to the fan-favorite San Junipero episode. But how did it fare overall? Did Hotel Reverie end up on the list of the surprising love stories that Black Mirror gave us? Well, that is what we'll find out in today's video. If you haven't watched the episode yet, consider this your spoiler warning. With that being said, let's get down to business and see how the story went in Hotel Reverie. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Hotel night. Clara in
The Dream Reboot, fantasy or fiction? The episode starts off with showing us a black and white movie titled Hotel Reverie. It's one of those classic Casablanca-esque Hollywood movies where Alex Palmer falls in love with a tragic heiress, Clara Rice-Lecher, while visiting Cairo. However, there is something more to it. Claude, Clara's husband, is trying to kill her, and Alex Palmer has to find a way to keep her safe. Clara is played by Dorothy Chambers, one of the many famous actresses of her time who was a bit of a recluse and killed herself. But her beauty transcends time, and Emma Corrin nails that role beautifully. But in the current time, things are not going so well for the production house that created Hotel Reverie. Keyworth Studios is under a lot of debt, and they haven't been able to pump out any movie with the popular actors of modern times. Because of this, their studios are looking at an imminent foreclosure. Judith Keyworth, played by Harriet Walter, explains all of this to Kimmy, played by Awkwafina, a sincere but opportunistic head of a tech startup who showed interest in the studio's history. Given the budget of the studios, Kimmy offers a hand to Judith. If Judith can get a name brand star for the role of Dr. Alex Palmer, Kimmy would be able to give her a brand new remake of Hotel Reverie with just 96 minutes of the actor's time. That way, Keyworth gets their new remake with a popular actor, and they do not have to break the bank in order to do it. Hearing such a lucrative offer, Judith accepted and sent out notices to all the popular actors for the role of Alex Palmer. However, none of the notified actors were interested, and that's where Brandy, played by Issa Rae, comes into the picture. Brandy is a popular actress, but she's always typecasted. Either she's the heroine of a Sundance misery porn movie, or she's the sidekick of one of the many Ryans in Hollywood as the sexy femme fatale. She didn't want to be typecasted anymore, but the problem was that she wasn't getting any offers for the kind of movies she wanted to do. She wanted something romantic, something inspiring, like Hotel Reverie. That was when her agent informed her of the Hotel Reverie remake. Brandy insisted that they let them know she was interested in playing the role of Alex Palmer if they would have her, and when Kimmy learned about it, she was ecstatic to bring Brandy on board. The lack of respect that Brandy gets because of being the side character becomes evident when she receives a package from Keyworth Studios containing all the information pertinent for the shooting to begin. The entire time, the delivery woman gushed about Brandy's roles in movies, only to compliment the male lead instead of her. Luckily, a phone call helped Brandy wiggle her way out of that conversation, but as she opened the info pack distractedly, she missed the flash drive from Redream, Kimmy's company. Despite no info pack, Brandy managed to memorize all her lines, and the next week, she landed in England to begin her shooting. On arriving there, Brandy and we learned together what Redream is actually doing. The Redream company is using AI to recreate the entire movie with Brandy in the role of Alex Palmer. They would send her inside the movie's world, where she would be accepted as the doctor with no questions asked. Using this immersive technique, they were going to make the full movie from scratch with only Brandy as the new actor. This means that, yes, Brandy is going to be acting against Dorothy Chambers rather than her sentient AI version. Despite the freaky science mumbo-jumbo, once teleported into the movie world, Brandy manages to play her role perfectly as Alex Palmer, meeting all the beats of the movie until she has to play the piano. She sucked at it, which gave rise to a plot hole in the original movie. After Palmer played the piano, he and Clara left the hotel to talk outside, leading to Madame Robin taking a sip of Clara's poisoned drink and dying. However, since Brandy cannot play the piano, Clara and Brandy never leave the room. So Brandy disposed of the drink in a nearby vase and Madame Robin's dog Bon Bon ended up dying. Things like this keep happening, and in a last-ditch effort to save the day, Brandy called out to Clara as Dorothy, her real name. This somehow twisted the AI that Clara was functioning upon, making her multi-dimensional, almost instantly. Sure, this leads to the romance blossoming between Brandy and Clara along the movie's plot, but Clara seems more and more like a person. At one point, Brandy was supposed to seduce Clara, and sure, she did her job quite right. However, one of the interns on Kimmy's team ended up spilling liquid onto the machine while engrossed in the movie. Because of that, the entire simulation in the movie stopped, forcing only Clara and Brandy to be able to move. Time also started moving faster inside the simulation while everyone else was stuck. At first, Brandy is rude to Clara, and Clara tries to walk out and find her way out of there. But in doing so, she breached the fringe and learned about who she was as Dorothy. It turns out Dorothy was a closeted lesbian actress. The paparazzi and gossip hounded her to learn more about her personal life, and this led to her mental health being affected and led to her tragic death. Once Clara learned who she was, there was a change in her demeanor. Brandy and Dorothy started getting closer, and over the months, they remained trapped together, but they fell in love. While it was months for them, for the real world, it was only a few minutes. Eventually, the text started up again, and Brandy was pulled back into the seduction scene, wiping away Clara's memories of Dorothy and their love. Despite the shock, Brandy managed to act her way through the movie, contemplating if she should stay in this world with Clara. The only way Brandy can come out of the movie is if she says the trigger phrase, her last line, "I'll be yours forevermore." And at that point, we can see Brandy contemplating whether or not she should be saying it at all. After taking care of the several plot holes, Brandy finally reaches the third act. Here, Claude and Alex Palmer are supposed to duke it out on the terrace. Claude gets caught by the police, and Alex and Clara get their happily ever after. However, in this version, when Brandy and Claude are fighting, Clara picks up the gun and kills Claude. Brandy tries to take the blame for the murder, because if she is hauled to jail in the story, she can simply say the trigger phrase and get out of the simulation, but Clara has other plans. Clara took the gun and shot the senior inspector, which resulted in her getting shot at by the police. Clara dies in Brandy's arms as Brandy says the trigger phrase, sobbing. In the epilogue, we see the Redream company send Brandy a telephone with Dorothy Chambers' test screening as Clara, where she was supposed to speak over the telephone. Brandy and Clara start speaking, and the episode ends there.
It's rising.
It's Dorothy you mentioned.
Review of the episode. With a runtime of 76 minutes, this is one of the longer episodes of the season. Charlie Brooker, the creator of the show, introduces a lot of different plots, ideas, and threads in the first few scenes, which will definitely have you scratching your head, wondering where all of this is going. However, that slow beginning gets incredibly fast-paced the moment you enter the sweet spot where the narrative finally finds its rhythm. Initially, looking at the whole concept, the theme of the story is very interesting. With AI now being able to create Studio Ghibli art, I think it is definitely not a far-fetched idea that we could be able to achieve something akin to Redream. Redream is not like deepfake, which does get rid of the slight concerns, but it raises even more ethical concerns, such as how they used Dorothy Chambers / Clara and put her against Brandy. I mean, sure, it worked out fine because Dorothy was a closeted lesbian, but what if she weren't? Then the question that Brandy brought up would be even more glaring. The question is whether Clara loves her because she loves Brandy, or because Clara as a character is written to love Brandy, i.e. Alex Palmer. I will admit that this episode did not have the dark and pessimistic outlook for the technologically advanced future that we usually associate Black Mirror with, but the questions remained throughout the episode. The sexism and racism in Hollywood that Booker brought up in the first few scenes had me genuinely concerned. I was worried that we would end up getting some type of botched portrayal of that, which has happened before. However, Booker does not go down that route. He mentions it, acknowledges it, and then moves on, instead of going down the activism route, which would not have fit the story at all. Hao Lu Wang, the director behind this episode, is absolutely amazing at recreating the charm that we usually associate with the old classic MO like this. The Golden Age Hollywood aesthetic is represented throughout the movie so beautifully that it doesn't even feel like it's a simulation. Even though I don't have a mesmerizer on my temple, I sure felt the same way Brandy felt once she entered that world. Wang truly created a world from the 1940s from scratch, and I love that. While I personally do not have any criticism about Awkwafina's role in the episode, I do believe that anyone could have played her role. Unlike Issa Rae, Rae. Issa Rae as Brandy Fisher completely embodies the bewilderment of the modern actress stepping into the 1940s movie world. An old school role is tough to master even by general standards, but in my eyes, Issa Rae does it perfectly. I usually associate Issa Rae with her role as April in Little, specifically that black mama whooping Cliff, so it was genuinely a fun experience watching her play such a vulnerable character in the show while I was constantly reminded of that clip. However, the one who stole the spotlight from me is Emma Corrin. The last time we saw Emma Corrin was in Deadpool and Wolverine, where they played Cassandra Nova. However, they did a beautiful job as the vulnerable and shy Clara, and the recluse, heartbroken, and depressed Dorothy. I didn't expect to see them play such an alluring role, but they nailed it. They were the right amount of mysterious, seductive, and absolutely endearing love interests, and I think both Brandy and the viewers ended up falling in love by the end of the movie. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that the Hotel Reverie does not have its flaws. It does. The beginning of the story is rather slow, and the start can be best described as rocky. However, by the end of the episode, you will be won over by the story, and that is a guarantee. This episode is a love story, and a love letter to the old Hollywood, which I think anyone who loves cinema would appreciate. However, if you look at the story from a plot aspect, you'll see that it has quite a few weak points. For example, what is this business model in the first place? Why would the exact beat-for-beat, shot-for-shot remake of an old movie with a new actor as a main lead gain money? That does not make any sense at all. Why did they not cast another person as Clara too? Or is this a subtle nod to the Hollywood remake disaster that we have been witnessing lately? The Snow White remake is a glaring example of that disaster. While I can somehow explain away that little bit, another part of the episode that had me scratching my head was about what Brandy and Clara even talk about. Is Clara as Dorothy from a whole different time? It would have been nice if we had seen them have a little conversation instead of just a monotone of them playing around with all the other people in the movie who are frozen in time. Jack, one of Kimmy's employees, told everyone that several hours, roughly 7 hours to be exact, are passing for each second in real life. But then, when they finally get all the machines working, Kimmy starts badgering Brandy to do her lines. This woman's entire consciousness was trapped in the set for months. Can she not get a moment to rest? Please! In the end, we see Brandy being able to speak with Clara Dorothy again, which is supposed to be the happy ending that we had hoped for. But is it? I mean, it is the AI equivalent of a super sentient ChatGPT talking to you because you somehow fell in love with it.
Oh God.
Marvelous verdict. There's no denying that the episode tells us a heart-wrenching story. Even though I am critical of the story, I was moved to tears by the end of it. So, Kimmy's words about not a single dry eye around were very true. Yet, despite these questions, overall, the story is engaging, and it will surely make you feel a lot of different things that you did not expect in the beginning. In a way, I would say the story is very bury your gaze kind of story. And while it definitely wants the San Junipero hype, as Kimmy's package came from Junipero Drive, Hotel Reverie does not reach the same heights that San Junipero did for me. What about you guys? Do you think that San Junipero and Hotel Reverie are comparable in the aspect of the love story presented by Black Mirror? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Later. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks everyone.